Hi, Ask an RDC here, and in this video, we're going to be going over military pay, and it's going to go from the Navy standpoint. However, military pay is very similar across branches. The first thing we're going to look at is what's called your LES, or your leave and earning statement. Now, everyone's LES is going to look exactly like this, except it's actually going to be filled out with information, which we're going to go over here in a little bit. But a LES, or leave and earning statement, goes over how many leave days or vacation days, paid vacation days, that you've earned or have on the books as well and you can utilize. And also it's going to go over your pay itself, and similar to what a pay stub would be in the civilian world. Now, to calculate your pay to almost an exact degree, you should go to military.com, and I have an example here. I filled out one for an E5 that lives in Virginia and receives BAH. So it can show it here where what your monthly pay is going to be, your yearly pay, and what your mid-month pay is. It says paycheck there in the bottom right. And that's to explain that, we're going to get a little bit more in detail here. So here I have an example of a fake. It's a LES, but it's not any one in particular. It's an example LES that I actually got from a training site from military.com actually. So going over it, as you can see from the top, it's going to have your information such as name, social security number, your pay grade. For this one, the example is an E7, or in the Navy would be a chief. The date at which you're paid, your years of service, your estimated time of service, what branch you're in. So that's all your personal information. So we're going over to the first block on the left, which is entitlements. So entitlements is what you're going to be paid. So you have your base pay, which is based off of what your pay grade is, your BAS, or basic allowance for sustenance. So this is going to be money that's paid to you when it comes to food and to pay for bills such as your electricity. But basically, it's going to be for your sustenance, for your food. When you're on a ship, they take away most of that because you're going to be eating at the galley. And at that point, you're actually going to be have that money taken away from you, whether you eat at the galley or not. So I recommend you do, because you're getting that money and it's going to the galley regardless. There's going to be times in which they won't go to the galley. So, for example, you're in a shore duty, or if you are on sea duty and your ship is in the yards and the galley is shut down, then they'll give you that BAS and you go and spend it out in town for you to have your money. On top of that is you can see here is the BAH, or basic allowance for housing. So that's going to change depending on your pay grade and whether or not you have dependents, and also goes up and down a lot depending on where you are. And so, for example, in California, it could be anywhere between like $3,000 with dependents, but somewhere in like Virginia, it's only going to be about $1,700. It also depends, like I said, your pay grade and whether or not you have dependents. Moving on to the second block here under deductions. So this is the amount of money that's going to be taken away from your paycheck. So your normal taxes, or for example, the TSP, it says here traditional TSP, which is a thrift savings plan, which is a type of 401k or retirement plan, additionally to normal retirement pay that you can do within the military. And then at the very bottom, you'll see what's mid-month pay. Now, mid-month pay is because you technically get paid once a month when you're in the military. And what they do is they take half your paycheck and give it to you in the middle of the month. And then at the end of the month, they give you the rest of your paycheck. And this is so you're paid twice a month instead of once a month, which makes it easier for you to balance finances. The last one is allotments, and you can see here for this person, they have TRICARE Dental and privatized housing. So what they're doing for the TRICARE Dental is their dental plan, which they have for their family, and the privatized housing just means that instead of going to wherever housing that they're living at and paying them the paycheck or having it come from their bank, they're having the allotment come directly from their paycheck, so they don't have to worry about it. It's already paid out to them, to whatever company that they're staying at of the house or apartment. And that way they don't have to worry about tracking it. It's coming straight from their paycheck instead of setting it up through an allotment through their bank account or handing in a check. And that leads us to the summary on the right side. Now, the right side shows the total entitlements, which is the far left block showing everything that you're paid. And then it goes to deductions to include that deduction, totaling up everything in that center column. So mid-month pay and all taxes. To also include the allotments, which ends into the bottom with their end of month pay. That shows that they're going to be paid at the middle of the month of 1910 and at the end of the month 1910 as well. Moving on to these smaller rows where it says leave. Now, like I said, leave before is the same as paid vacation days. You get 2.5 per month, and you can total up to, right now it's 60 days, but sometimes it'll change how many days you can have saved up and you utilize. Any one that days that are saved past, for example, if it's 60 days, because it's going to change all the time. So it's good to look up and ask your chain of command how many days are allowed at that time, or just look at the instruction because it changes, especially when it came to the time around COVID. So any days that you have that are above, for example, 60, and it comes to the new fiscal year, if you have what's called use or lose days. So if you don't use those days, you're going to lose them. You need to be able to set a time so you can take leave to spend them, or you're going to, if you're retiring, to sell those days back, and you get approximately 80%. That's also the time that worth the amount you get back changes as well. So 80% of a day. So if you have 30 days, which would be a total LES, and you sold 30 days, you get 80% of that pay. So it's better to actually just take them. It's free days off and what you get paid. So a little bit better than selling them off. Then it goes over your taxes that you paid year to date. It also goes over what savings plan you have, whether it be traditional TSP or a Roth plan, so a 401k or a Roth 401k, and then contributions made over year to date. Below, there'll be more remarks depending on what allotments you have set up and your sets of pay. I hope this helps you understand what you're looking forward to when it comes into the Navy, into the pay, or military in general. Don't forget to look up on military.com just so you can get an idea and plan your finances if you plan on joining the Navy. Hooyah Navy.